All right, it is the final catch up podcast episode of the year, which is crazy.
It is.
Um, and good things to come in the new year, which is really exciting. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But we're doing things a little differently on this one. As you know, longtime listeners of the Catch Up Podcast know that we end the year with a year in review. And typically, what that means for us is we reflect on the events of the year, both in the world and in our own personal lives. And then we look at how we can grow, how we can learn from them and make the next year even better, right? Which is a
Mhm.
good little exercise for, I would recommend for everybody, but we do it, we play it out on the podcast, right? So
Mm.
this time we're doing that still, but we're going to add to it the top fives, the John Denson, the Catch Up Podcast top fives. We're talking top five new cars of 2021, top five new tech items of 2021. It could be new to us as well. And then top five new
Mhm.
songs of 2021. Basically, the heavy hitting topics of the Catch Up Podcast for the most part. And it's going to make for good debate, good discussion, and hopefully you guys can get in on it. So, of course, we're live streaming on Facebook right now. If you're on the live
Mhm.
stream, jump in, leave your thoughts, leave your comments. Let us know what you think about our top fives as we get into these. Follow us over there on Facebook, facebook.com/the catchupcast, instagram.com/the catchupcast. We have exclusive content over there. We have a YouTube page where that exclusive content is also shared. And you can also rewatch these streams. And the best ways to support us, really, outside of the live
Yeah.
stream, is go
Exactly.
to nosignalrocks.com/the hyphen ketchup hyphen podcast, or just go to nosignalrocks.com, hit the drop down menu. All of this is linked in the description of this episode. You can find all of our merch, video, and episodes in one place. And just leave us a rating and review. Let us know how we did, and that'll help us continue to grow and spread throughout the algorithmic space that is podcast land.
Mhm.
So I just want to hit that off the bat. We got a lot of fun things that we want to talk about. It's like I said, going to be some great debates. So let's go ahead and get into it. But before we do, I'm finna take another bite. Hell yeah.
Mhm. Take you another bite.
Oh man, I have to space out my
Take
bites,
you.
man.
Mhm.
Otherwise,
Oh.
I'm going hungry. Mm.
Hey, bro, adjust your mic just a tad bit. It seems to be it's a little loud.
Hmm.
Or just not, don't get too close.
No, no, no.
Because it seemed like it was peaking a bunch.
Oh, well, it's
Mhm.
not. It's not, but it is maybe where you're. Yeah, I'll turn it down because with the old
Okay.
setup, if you're watching on the live stream, this is part of what we're going to talk about. The old setup, I wasn't able to place it directly in front of my mouth like this. It was kind of off to the side.
Okay,
So
so
the
that's probably
gain,
why.
yeah. So I had the gain a little higher than normal. I did turn it down, but the levels still look good on my
Mhm.
end. So, um, but yeah, no, helpful tip. It probably sounds way different to podcast people.
Mhm.
Also, when I really get into a topic, if you listen on the audio version, you'll hear my voice kind of fade out a little bit. It's because I'm leaning forward past the mic. So yeah, it happens a lot. But um part of the hurdles of it's the challenges of being a podcaster. So
Mhm. Exactly.
okay. I'm gonna put some more barbecue sauce on here, but we can go ahead and do our intro.
Okay. Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? I'm John,
And I'm Dennison.
and this is the catch up and the
A.
barbecue sauce. um,
There's
okay.
there's ketchup
Yeah,
in the barbecue sauce.
I feel bad for the people who are watching this stream. They're like, this guy is fucking freaking just gross, man. Making all kinds of noise. And he's cussing on the live stream. He doesn't even realize it. It's late, guys. I apologize. Um, so don't ban me, Facebook. Um, yeah. Well, you know what? A man's gotta eat. If I had some more
Mhm.
protein in my body, I wouldn't be acting like this. I wouldn't be acting a fool, man. I mean, you know what's crazy about working from home?
Hmm.
As I do.
Mm-hmm. As you do.
Balancing your time,
Yep, that's true. It's
it's
very
a challenge.
important.
Because you see things around your place and you're like, I should work on that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, that thing over there, I should fix that. But I probably,
I got time. I'm here.
right. But then you start doing it and then you get behind on work,
Mm-hmm.
And to me, like, it's well within your right to do those things because you live there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, what I do? Oh, I installed this lamp today. But it helped me, though. It helped me focus afterwards, which is kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, hey, this is a positive,
Yeah, exactly. And
Also,
with the lamp, you got a light shining down directly and telling you exactly what you got to do. So that's why it was so important.
that's right. Plus, we worked at Home Goods for how long? It'd be a crime if I didn't put the lamp together.
I know, man. I know.
I know
I'd be
exactly.
starting to think like if those home goods lessons, just never taught you nothing, or it was all for naught.
Yeah, I didn't cut these fingers for nothing, man.
Yeah,
I did
exactly.
it for the grind.
Mm-hmm. If you
All
don't
right,
know
I'm
how
done
to
fooling.
unbox a lamp, unwrap it, and put it together in like 5 minutes,
I
you don't know
know.
what you're doing.
Yeah. Also, you'd probably get yelled at if you
Yeah,
didn't
that's
do that.
true.
Okay, I'm done fooling around now. Let's go ahead and
All right, let's do it. Let's
get
jump right
into
into
this.
it.
All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, so top five, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got the main staples of the podcast: cars, tech, and music.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we should start off with cars. Now, we're gonna put this up on the live stream, so heads up, this is going to be very live stream centric. This episode is so. If you want to watch it and if you want to follow future live streams, hit the link in the description of the episode. Follow us on Facebook. Give us a like. It's at facebook.com/the ketchup cast.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna pop this up. We're gonna start with Denison. Denison's top 5 cars of 2021. Man, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's start with number 5. I'm already triggered. I'm already triggered. Let me get it ready. We're going to share this on the screen here. Here we go. Okay. It's loading. There it is. All right. So the Mustang Mach-E.
Mm-hmm.
Explain to these fine people why.
Well, for me, the reason why, as much as I don't like this, and I do feel like it's kind of, um, I don't know. I'll say this: I have a love-hate relationship with the Mach-E. I don't think it looks very good at all. I think it looks like a
Okay.
blob, to be completely honest.
Yeah, it
But
does
I
look a little
do
blobby.
think, I do think it's actually a really important vehicle because not only is it, like one of Ford's, first few EVs that they've actually ever done. But it's also using a nameplate that would um, draw buyers in,
Sure.
right?
Yes. We talked about this earlier this year when this came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest problem with this car.
Yep.
Is it has the Mustang name on it. If you didn't, there was an ad somewhere that I saw where they talked about how they transformed the Mustang into something for the future. This is not the Mustang. They still have the
Mm-hmm.
Mustang,
It's
you
not.
know?
It's not the same platform or anything.
Plus, if you're gonna say that just to me, the Mustang has among the most heritage of any name in the automotive industry at all. And to change it that much, I have a problem with that, to be honest with you. um, if you're just gonna dump everything that you have, I mean, I realize it's still performance, but it's not a car. It's not a sports car, I should say.
Mhm.
But I will say this though: if you take away, this is why this didn't. That's why this didn't make my top five, to be completely
Mm.
honest. But if you take away the
Mhm.
name and the logo, this car is exceptional, and it's
Oh, yeah.
actually already transforming the automotive industry as far as affordable distance and performance goes in electric vehicles, plus
Y
style.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
And a lot of car companies have been working to keep up, right?
Mhm, mhm. It's
Mm.
gotten raving reviews. It's selling tons and tons of units. I know the GT version of it just came out not too long ago, about a month or 2 ago, and it's, flying off the shelves. It's actually hard to keep in stock. So, I mean, it's a very big and revolutionary car for Ford.
Sure.
Or and like you even said, the automotive industry is just, yeah. I think in some ways that's the reason why I picked it. It's because it's very big, because it's probably one of the very first like true competitors to like Tesla,
Yeah.
when it comes to the EV space, and and it's from a main brand, like, the big three.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
it's really, really important. So yeah.
Sure. Now, again, I'm not even hating on this car. It by itself, it's this stupid little logo over here, okay, that
Hmm.
says Mustang on it. That's what drives me. This is actually a good looking car. Now, Christina's on here saying, "Look at that baddie." I agree. It's a baddie. All right, she a
Hmm.
baddie, but it just, man, I don't know. The name bothers me, but I will give this to you. This is a solid number five. What does the GT have that the normal doesn't? I want to know that real fast.
So it has a faster 0 to 60 time. So I think it, instead of like 4 or something seconds, it shaves it down to like 3 something seconds or something
That's
like that.
insane.
It's got a far more track focused look. The exterior's changed a little bit, as well as they have performance wheels. I think they also upgrade the brakes and stuff like that. It's just far more performance oriented.
Sure.
You do lose on range, but you do gain more performance. So,
Yeah. Okay. I wonder how they do that. Do they just like push the batteries? Do they put more batteries in there? Do they unlock them
uh,
more? I don't know.
So usually it depends on the type of motors that they have.
Yeah.
Um, so usually they would change out the motors.
Okay.
And a lot of times they would also add extra motors. So it'd be the same battery pack. Or usually they'd usually start off with the long range battery pack and
Yeah.
then change the motors to be more performance oriented. And then essentially, have it focused on that.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I think that's important to set the standard for this discussion because that is exactly what we're going to be talking a lot about from both of our lists. So
Mhm.
let's move on to the next one here. Now, these next
Mhm.
couple sound like maybe some producer plugins or a rap artist or even a new phone, right? But they're not.
Mhm.
They're cars. Next is the Hyundai
Mhm.
Ionic 5. I didn't know there were four other Ionics, to be honest with you.
Well, technically, there aren't yet.
Well, but there will
Um,
be.
there will be.
Okay. So,
So
what made you put this one? Because this looks like William Shatner ordered an Uber and pulled up to the Starship Enterprise in this.
well, so to me, I'll say the big reason why I added this one is because of the styling. I think it's kind of interesting. The styling is so different than a lot of EVs as well as the price point. So this one is starting out, which is pretty low when it comes to the competition. It's starting around 38,000, I think, for the base model.
Mhm.
And then if you get to the top of the line, it'll go up to, I think it'll be like high 40s or something like that. But it's still in a
Okay.
very reasonable price point, which is really nice. And at the same time, it's pack loaded with features. The styling is wacky and kooky. Like it's got a lot of pixel type styling, which is really cool. That's the reason why you see the squares. And then if you had like a rear picture there, the cool thing about it is that it has like pixel tail lights.
Oh,
So it's
really?
really, really neat looking. Um,
It's
and
extremely modern. It's like ultra modern
Yeah,
design.
exactly. Um, and so I think that's the kind of the main reasons why it's the styling, the aesthetic, and the price. Um, oh, and the range is not bad either. I think the top range that you can get is like 300,
Okay.
which is actually pretty good.
Not bad in a commuter
Um,
vehicle. How
yeah.
what on this is like this is an affordable electric vehicle, I assume, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's
And
cool.
it's also, oh, sorry, I was just gonna say it's also Hyundai's first, if I'm not mistaken, first electric vehicle, and it's
Okay.
kind of kickstarted their push into Hyundai Kia's push into the EV market. So again, it's that ripple effect of EVs that is starting to sweep. I feel like for automotive wise, this year was like the year of EVs. So that's kind of one reason why, my first two
Oh,
at least currently
definitely. Yeah,
are.
you'll see on my list too. I totally agree. So this, what I like about this are the wheels because
Hmm.
those will very much help with aerodynamics to extend that range, but they don't just look like pie plates. So
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. I want to say that most everything on here is meant to make it more aerodynamic, though I'm not personally a fan of the styling. So when
Hmm.
you said, are there going to be like a Ionic 1, 2, 3, 4? Or is
I
there going to be an Ionic 5, 7, and 9 to designate what the size is?
so that I'm not super clear on. I think they're gonna have like, so this is kind of like a crossover type, right?
Gotcha.
I think I think the Ionic 6 is the next one, and I think that's
Oh,
supposed to be a car, if I'm
okay.
not mistaken. And then I, th- I can't remember exactly because I feel like it was either the Ionic series, like below 5 is going to be cars, and then above are going to be like crossovers and SUVs.
Interesting. So they have a whole Ionic series. That's so
Hmm.
crazy. It kind of makes
Yeah.
it, and we talked about this too, but like the same people that electric vehicles are appealing to off the top are tech people. The same type of people, like a lot of the gadgets we're going to talk about, right?
Hmm.
Um, and so it makes sense from a marketing standpoint to market those in the similar fashion, right? For example,
Hmm.
this reminds me of cell phone marketing to a degree. Um, so I find that fascinating because the next thing we're going to talk about, if you're ready to move over to the next one,
Yeah. Go
um,
ahead.
is the Lucid Air, right?
Yeah.
So the car company's name is Lucid,
Hmm.
Lucid, right? But like, okay, so off the bat, for me, if
Hmm.
I had to pick this one, I would say, oh, the Kia Optima, but nicer. um, but it is. This is a good looking car. The front end
Hmm.
looks a little hammerhead sharky, but the rest of it is fantastic. I've never heard of this car company.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, this is a super pretty car. Technically, Lucid actually debuted this car, um, like the prototype, super prototype version of it, like in 2017 or something like that. So it's been around, and to be honest, this is actually a company that I thought was going to just be vaporware. Like, I thought, I mean, because up until this point, there had been a couple of electric car companies that came out and said, like, we're going to be the next Tesla beater or whatever like that.
Yeah,
And, you know, they show off these cool prototypes and they give like a lot of the press to do like these cool like driving experiences and stuff like that. But then they just fizzle out and disappear. I
sure.
think Faraday was one of those car companies that just kind of poofed in and then poofed out of existence.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it was really interesting to know that like Lucid was like, it was this year that they're like, hey guys, like we're actually coming out with this car. So that was kind of the cool thing for me, is just seeing this car. It's such a cool car. I think it's like the perfect competitor now for Tesla. And when I mean
Why do you say
Tesla, I
that?
really mean like the um, top end of Tesla. So the Tesla Model S type vehicle. I mean, the dry, like it's got a, what is it? I think it's like a, because the latest model Plaid, right, is about 2 seconds, right? I think
Yeah.
somewhere around 2 second range. I think this
Crazy.
is
Yeah.
like 2.9 seconds when it comes
Okay.
to 0 to 60 time. So it's really fast.
But it's meant to be a luxury, is it not? In addition
Exactly.
to that. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously the S
Um,
is too, but yeah, this
yeah.
to me the S gives off to I don't know. To me, the Model S does not really give off super luxury vibes to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never really looked at that and been like, wow, that's a very great looking car. I honestly haven't. I don't think it's ugly. I just haven't really thought that. This
Mhm.
though, yeah, I absolutely that has presence to it when it pulls up, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think this one actually, I think I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think this one actually has more of a luxury feel, especially from some of like the reviews that I've seen on it and the way the interior looks and all that stuff. It looks more luxurious than like a Tesla. So
Yeah. Man, so many hot takes that we're starting off with. I
yeah.
hate the Ford Mustang Mach E. Tesla Model S is ugly. All right. This next one, what can we already say about it that hasn't been said? The
hmm
Rivian R1t. That's Dennison's number
hmm
2. Um, and we talked quite in length about this. But what has you putting it at number 2?
Um, because I think number one is just dope. But the main reason why is because it's such a big, and you know, it's like we said a few episodes back, it's such a very important thing because this is the first electric pickup truck. Um, and it's something that is really going to be pushing into that pickup truck market, which is such a big thing, especially in the United States. Um, and it's, you know, one of those things where it's like if you can do it right, right, and you can actually capture that um, pickup truck market, it'll be such an important step when it comes to EVs, like
Mhm.
us moving and transitioning from gas powered vehicles over to EVs. I think this is such a, at least from what I can see, right, from the reviews and stuff like that, I feel like it's the
Right.
step in the right direction. And I really want it to succeed. I think it'd be amazing if it does.
Well, not to mention the fact that it is a pickup and it's not a super like from outer space looking type of truck that's
Hmm.
all electric. Now, this barely beat the Ford Lightning to the
Yeah,
discussion.
exactly.
And it may have not worked out for them if they had been beaten by the Lightning. Who knows? But it's definitely has grabbed people's attention. Great looking truck. Getting lost in the desert because you're out of battery is a dream come true. So, um, that's why it's not in my top 5. But I don't want to give it away too soon. So let's move on to number 1. I'm
Hmm.
a fan of this as well. The new TLX Type S,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, no,
Mhm.
the TLX Type S is such a big thing for me. Um, Main reason why is because it's Acura returning back to their roots of being like a performance brand. Like I feel like Acura kind of lost its way because Acura always started as like a luxury sports kind of brand, right? But then and they were doing great. They had, their Type S models going on, and it was really cool. Like from the '90s to like the early 2000s, they were doing great. They had really cool cars coming out. They gave us the Acura Integra Type R, the TL Type S, or
Yep.
sorry, not
TL.
Type R, yeah, TL Type S. Um, you had the Acura RSX Type S. I mean, there was just such cool performance cars, and they still had some luxury feels to it, and they just kind of lost their way. And so I felt like the Type S was such a big, the TLX Type S was such a big and important car for Acura to bring them back. And I feel like it's just an ushering in a new era because I mean, what right now we already have the new Acura Integra prototype got revealed last month, and
Yeah.
I'm not super big on the styling, but I can't wait for it to come out, and I can
Right.
really tell that it's refocusing the brand on where they were before, right?
Absolutely. What made them popular was they were sporty, affordable cars,
Exactly.
which Acura was just the classier, more stately versions of those for the most part.
Hmm.
And I'm a fan of this design, man.
Hmm.
Christina's chiming in the live stream. She says, yes. This too is a baddie. Earlier, though, she did say, is the R1T really going to push the pickup truck market? I don't know if truck people will go for it. I actually don't. I agree with her, but that's not why I agree with her. I
Mm.
think it won't because it's Rivian. It's not Ford,
Mhm.
it's not GM, it's not these mega companies that have been dominating trucks for years.
Yeah,
Tesla influenced the entire auto industry, but it took a long time. You know what I mean? So
true.
I'm not saying Rivian can't. I just don't know if this is it. I don't know. We'll see. Only
No,
time
I
will
get that.
tell.
I
Yeah.
get that.
But anyway, this Acura, yeah, I'm very excited that they're bringing sportiness back. Like I said, it'd be cool if they bring the Prelude back, even the freaking Del Sol. That'd be wild. Oh man,
Mhm.
Gran Turismo cars that were fun to drive. But yeah, this is a great looking car. The TL line has always been great looking, which it's what, an
Mhm.
Accord?
Technically,
Yeah.
but I think at this point the TLX has moved away so far from the Accord chassis that it's
Hmm,
kind of its own thing, but I
that's
think
cool. I
you can
like that.
still draw most of its roots from the Accord. Yes.
Yeah, Lexus has been doing that for a couple of years now with its separation from Toyota. I mean, they're still owned by Toyota, but
Mhm.
they've been making their own chassis. Darian also says, "I love that Acura, so sleek." And Darian, we'll
Mhm.
get to your other comment here shortly when we
Mhm.
get there. But yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. This is a solid number one. This is a true traditional kind of car.
Mhm.
V6. I'm sure they're putting in this, right?
Yep, yep. V6, all-wheel
Yep.
drive.
I even put it in
It's a
your
great
color,
car.
man, for the slides. I put it in
Yeah,
blue.
man. Thank you.
Yeah. Heck yeah. So no, this is a solid number one. I like this a lot. It's affordable still, or are they going to charge a lot for this?
I think this one starts around $55,000. So it's
Golly.
it's it's not really affordable, but like
No.
the Supra when it came out, it wasn't super duper affordable, but it is still an important car.
Yeah,
You know.
it's weird that the Japanese manufacturers are now the ones that are pushing sportiness again.
Mhm.
It's like it's the late '90s all over again.
I know,
Uh,
I know. It's
yeah,
crazy, but I love
yeah,
it.
yeah, sure. But yeah, I'm not gonna pay that money. But there are people out there that will, and that's the thing. There's a whole market for this, so this
Mhm.
will pay off for Acura. I'm in Honda. I'm excited to see this on the road because I already know people are gonna buy it. Look at this front end. This
Oh yeah.
is stuff that they learned from F1 and sports car racing. Um,
It's so pretty.
yeah, this diffuser in the back here and this splitter up front is going to make it so aerodynamic. Now, are
Oh yeah.
90% of people going to drive it to a degree that means anything? Probably not.
No.
but
No.
um but no, I'm a big fan of this. It's a good number one choice. Let's jump over to mine now. So I'm
Yes.
gonna post this
Let's
up
do
here
it.
real fast.
I want to see it.
Here are my top 5 cars of the year.
Oh
And
man.
we're starting with a controversial one.
Okay. Okay. The dragonfly itself.
The dragonfly itself, man. Alive and in color. And not an attractive color here. This is really, what is this? Baby's breath blue? I mean, this thing is atrocious, but in the way that you think, it stole my top 5. In the way that you think the Rivian R1t is going to push the truck market, I think this
hmm
is going to push the truck market. I think this is a very important vehicle, and
hmm
only evidenced even more by the fact that I've seen it all over. I've seen it all over.
Oh
And
wow. Okay.
yeah, I've seen a ton of these. And what I think is great about them, yes, they're on a unibody chassis. So what that means is they're on a car chassis. They can't tow and haul things like an actual truck can. Okay.
hmm
But they offer incredible mileage and they offer you the ability to tow or haul things that a car couldn't because of the
hmm
space in the bed specifically. So mostly hauling. To me, the structure of a truck, it's likely a little more safe than your average vehicle would be, but maybe not.
hmm
I don't know. It's probably equivalent to that of a crossover SUV.
hmm
Um, but I really like it. I think I know when you see this in person, it's actually better looking. It really is. It's not great. I'm not saying it's great, but it is better looking in person. And
hmm
the mileage on this is over 40 miles a gallon. Um,
Yeah.
and
If you
here's
get
why
the
that's
hybrid
important
model.
for the hybrid model. Now, but here's why that's important. So, the Trump administration pushed back the EPA regulations that I think it had to be average of 35 miles per gallon for your entire lineup as a car manufacturer, right?
hmm
But that is import or domestic. So even if you're Honda and you want to sell something in America, you have to average that. I think
Yep.
that was combined too. It's not even highway, it's combined.
hmm
Um, and so they pushed that back. Now the Biden administration moved this up. And now it was, I think initially it was 2030 were these standards. Now it's 2023, the 2023 model years. So the
hmm
next year, imagine being in the design booth right now. I could not, these people are scrambling right now for sure.
Yeah.
But guaranteed they talked with the domestic car companies first to make sure this was doable for them because of hashtag the economy. So
hmm
now by next year, if I'm not mistaken, it has to average 40 miles a gallon, I think.
I think so. I think it's
Yeah.
something similar to that.
Which there's a conversion rate they have for electric that's EMPG.
hmm
So that's doable with all these electric vehicles coming out. But I
Yep.
think to keep trucks relevant, this goes just as far in commuter friendly, size friendly um, trucks, as anything else does. So that's why I put it there.
hmm
Um, so yeah,
It's a good choice, man. It's a good
thanks,
choice.
man.
It
Thought
does
you're
make
gonna
sense.
thought you're gonna attack me off the top rope on that one. Um,
I mean, I'm not a super big fan of it, but it does make sense though. It is a really important truck in it, and to be honest, I do feel like it might be a blueprint for how trucks are going to go forward, just on a bigger scale, right? I think they may still move it, of course, move your trucks still over um, to a normal truck frame or a normal truck platform, but just use the powertrain gains that they kind
Right.
of learn and move that over to it. So I do
No,
think
I
it's
agree.
still very important.
Yeah, no, I think you're completely right. Yeah, no, I think it could have the potential to influence. And if I know anything about Ford, they typically have a lot of continuity in their lineup. So I could expect things that went into this vehicle to achieve its mileage and things like that to go into its bigger vehicles, both
Mm-hmm.
SUVs and pickups. So
Mm-hmm.
next is the Hummer, just because
Mm,
it's a Hummer.
exactly. Hummer's back.
Hummer's back, and I will never forget the Super Bowl commercial for it because it was just so rad.
Mm-hmm.
The way they tease this with Led Zeppelin playing, and so man, this thing, it looks great. Obviously, this is with all the top off, and what's cool about that is there was the H1. Obviously, that's what you see in the military. H2, and then the H3. And on the H2, there was a SUT version. I don't know if people remember this. It was Sport Utility
Mm-hmm.
Truck.
It was such a
And
cool one.
yeah, and it basically was what you see on the live stream here, except for it had a top, you know.
Yeah.
And so it had a bed. It had an active bed that you could use. I actually had an RC car with that, man. I had an RC Hummer H2 Sport Utility Truck.
Oh man, that's cool.
Yeah, I know. I love these. But you know, you get even more functionality with a removable top,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, it's electric. The power is insane.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being super hypocritical because I was talking down about the Rivian, you know, getting lost in the off-road settings with with your battery powered vehicle. But let's be honest, the majority of Hummer owners just speed through metropolitan areas anyway and run people off the road. So
Yeah,
uh,
that's true.
that's not going to be it's not going to be an issue, I don't think. So yeah, what do you think of this?
Yeah, no, man. I love the Hummer EV. I mean, I was going to put it on my list, but I was like, hey, I got to give it to some other stuff. But no, I think the Hummer EV is amazing. I love that Hummer is finally coming back. Like they just kind of died off when all the when gas prices changed and like hiked up. And this is like the perfect form for the Hummer to come back as, right? As an
Yeah,
EV. It's massive. It's coming back with all the power, all the big giganticness of it. And I love it. I truly do. I mean, I kind of feel like a
yeah,
child looking at it, but I
right,
mean,
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like this is EVs are probably the next frontier for vehicles that died because they were too large and gas guzzlers. Like I feel
yeah,
like EVs are the perfect medium for them to move over to. And so I think this is a great way to um show that you can still have a gigantic vehicle like this
yeah,
and and it can still have like good gas mileage, quote unquote, or it can
sure.
have good range or whatever like that.
Yeah, alternative fuel would be a great option for these kind of things too. Darian says, I always love the look of a Hummer. Yeah, you just look at
Mhm.
this. And for those who don't know, General Motors owned a Hummer. And so that's why it's coming back as a GMC Hummer
Mm.
rather than
Mhm.
resurrecting an entire brand for one vehicle, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he says, you look at the styling of this, it stays true to what Hummers are known for, and that is just toughness. There's so much masculine styling in this, you know,
Yes.
it's so manly, and it just looks cool. It looks like it could fight Godzilla, right? And I love that, but also do so responsibly and save the planet in the same way Godzilla is trying to do. So,
Exactly.
so I'm a big fan of it. Let's go on to the next one here. The Rav4 Prime. I'm not a huge Toyota guy, and we know this.
Mhm.
But what I want to do, I actually saw this while I was on vacation in California
Mm.
because person put it in reverse and it started making this big whirring sound. And I was like, is their car broken? What happened? Well, that is actually a built-in way, and I imagine they have speakers under the
Mhm.
car somewhere that you're letting people know that you're backing up so people don't get run over, which is kind of
Yeah.
funny to me because I know it has reverse camera, if not maybe even a 360 camera. But yeah, what a cool car, simply because the RAV4s can be pretty tough, but the hybrid version of this, which is what this is, RAV4 Prime,
Mm-hmm.
runs solely on electric until you run out of battery, and then it kicks on the engine to charge the battery. So then you go to hybrid mode. So it's electric first, hybrid second. I think
Mm-hmm.
that is how every hybrid should be built from here on out. There's no reason
Oh
you
yeah.
shouldn't do that.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
No.
if I would say this too, the Rivian and the Hummer, if they both had that kind of technology, I'd be like, number one, game over. You know?
Yeah, no, that's true. I think it would be amazing, and you're correct. I think this is the way that every vehicle, like if you can't do a full transition over to an EV, I think this is the perfect way to one transition um your uh, uh, your customers easily over, so that way people don't feel that full range anxiety. They can still fill up at the gas station, but for the most part, you'll be plugging your Toyota. You'll be plugging your Rav4 into the wall still, charging it up. So it gets you used to that thought process of, okay, EVs are always going to be like this. This is how I do it. I'm plugging it up. But then when there's an emergency, you have something to fall back on. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think if we're going to do hybrids, you're correct. I think this is how it should be. And I think Toyota understands that, and I really, really commend them about that. So um, I love it, man. I
I do
really
too.
do.
It looks a little Jeepish to me in the design, which is
Hmm.
interesting, but I'm not against it necessarily. Yeah. Overall, though, it's the technology for me. And
Hmm.
that I think is what they could do to impact the car market moving forward. Because I think
Yep.
that's the type of thing where, let's say, to meet these EPA standards, every car company did away with gas powered and just went to electric. I would be tempted to buy a Toyota next because
Yep.
they are using this type of technology, and that's important to me. So, yeah, I think that's a really big one. Number two is the Mercedes W12 F1 car. Uh,
Okay. Okay.
yep, it is a beautiful piece of machinery that was piloted by Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas.
Hmm.
We talked all about the season finale last week, so I don't need to go into
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
But far and away, the coloring on this for me is just beautiful.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
it's black, it's teal, I would call that,
Hmm.
and maybe seafoam, man. We call it seafoam. Something
Yeah.
weird. I don't have this tab pulled up to show people, but there was a video of Lewis Hamilton when he was younger,
Hmm.
and he first was on a TV for doing RC car racing. And in
Hmm.
this video, he's wearing a jacket with almost the exact same colors on this.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
I know, and I'm thinking, was that on purpose or is that just coincidence? So the team is called the Silver Arrows. Okay, so that's why on
Hmm.
uh this back part here it's silver, because Mercedes, they're known for being silver, right? But the black was actually a Lewis Hamilton thing. This was when George Floyd was killed and all that.
Hmm.
He wanted to do more. He wanted to take a stance more. So they repainted all the F1 cars to be black. Team Mercedes did,
That's
because of
amazing.
him, because of him pushing for activism. That is the thing I was trying to convey last week for how important this guy is. The red is for Nicky Lauda. If you ever saw the movie Rush, um,
Hmm.
that was partly about him. He was an F1 driver. He drove for Ferrari. He was a team advisor for Mercedes and a pretty big mentor for Lewis Hamilton. And when he passed away, they painted the intake red. So all
Hmm.
of this is based off of Lewis, which is fascinating to me. The black, the
Yeah,
red,
that's amazing.
yeah, and it's a beautiful looking car. Obviously, nothing faster than this, and V6 turbo hybrid. So very fascinating. Anyway, we'll go on to an actual car you can buy now. Number one The Ford Bronco. I love it. We both, for number ones, went with things that are more normal,
Yeah,
normal
traditional.
cars. Traditional. There you go. This is not the sport model because I personally think the Bronco Sport is atrocious.
I
Um,
don't think it's a Bronco.
yeah, no, no, you're right. Oh, also Darian says that Mercedes looks like a race car. It is a race car. It is
Mhm.
absolutely a race car. Yeah.
It is.
Now, and yeah, so I had to throw it in there though, just being the racing fan that I am. It is one of my top five favorite cars of this year. I love the look of
Hey,
that.
it's important, man, and it
Yeah.
is really cool though.
Yeah. It really is. So, anyway, back to the Bronco. I just love the heritage that's carried over here. And to go back to what we started on when we first
Mhm.
started talking about top 20 cars of 2021, Ford doing away with the Mustang heritage for the Mach-E. Now they still have a normal Mustang, but who
Yeah.
knows how long that will last? I don't know. Maybe
Mhm.
it will. I don't know. But they bring back the Bronco, and it's as true to form as could humanly be.
Mhm.
Outside of the sport model, which is more like a small SUV, right? But
Yeah.
this thing is tough, it's rugged, it looks great, gets pretty decent mileage for what it is, and it's a classic, man. I mean, what more can you say about the Bronco?
Yeah. I mean, like you're right. It's a super classic, and it's actually like one of the few vehicles in a while I feel like that actually is giving the Jeep Wrangler an actual competition.
Yeah, yeah,
Um because I feel like for a little while, like Jeep just kind of had the market on those, right?
yeah,
On this like off-roader style, this look and stuff like that. And now, Ford's like, hey, we got this. And I love that it harkens back to the very first Bronco and the way it looks, the styling. Like I feel like it's just a perfect, like you said, it's perfect styling, right? It's truly true to form. They know their heritage. They understand what they want. They also understand the market. That's the other thing. Like they understand the people who are going to buy these, and that's why I
yeah.
love it. And that's why it's selling like hotcakes.
Yep. Now, funny enough, man, because you have not seen too many Mavericks down there, uh,
Hmm.
outside of the basketball team, in Dallas. I have seen a ton up here, but I have not seen any Broncos up here. And you say you've seen a
Mm.
lot. I've
Yeah,
seen
no, I've seen
sports.
a decent amount of Broncos, both
Yeah.
sport and non-sport.
See, I've seen the sport ones, which for those who don't know, again, they're more commuter type. They're more like family friendly, right? And they're
Yeah.
small. They're not something you would honestly take off road like the main Bronco is. I haven't seen any. I haven't. It's kind of a
Hmm.
bummer.
Yeah,
So
that is.
the intrigue is still there for me, but I love the ruggedness, the removability of certain parts of this, and
Hmm.
the appearance of ease of maintenance, which is what vehicles like this are supposed to have. So
Yep.
that's my number one. I really enjoyed the top five cars of 2021 that we had. I
Yeah,
think we
I
jump
did.
over to tech now. Top five tech items of 2021. We're going to start with Denison here.
Hmm.
And let's take a look at what you got, man. So, first, you're going to have to walk me through a lot of this. The Galaxy
Yeah,
Fold
no worries.
3. Obviously,
Hmm.
I'm aware of this, and this is a huge one.
Yeah. Yeah. So the reason why I think this is such a it's very, very important, especially for this year. One, um it's yet another year of foldable phones, which are cool in general, right? I think they're
Yeah.
amazing. I think it's just a cool idea. Um and I feel like this year is the first time that they've kind of gotten it to a point to where it can become far more mainstream. Because I feel like I'm not going to say that it's perfectly mainstream. I think it's still for the enthusiast, but I feel that this year they finally got it to a point where most people, and I should really be talking about not just the Fold 3, but both the Fold 3 and was it the Galaxy Z Fold 3,
Oh, yeah,
which
yeah.
is the clamshell one. Um, I think both of them, really, the Fold series has finally gotten close to that mainstream point because the um, the overall fit and finish and polish of it is far better than it's been for years. Um, and it also comes with water resistance, which is amazing, right? For a folding phone, it has water resistance,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
That no,
So
it
I
really
think
is.
so I think that's the reason why it's such a big and important thing for me when it comes to tech, because I think it's that next leap forward when it comes to phones
Okay.
and phone technology.
I get that. Yeah. I feel like it is a good looking phone. And,
Hmm.
to me, something that folds and covers itself would make sense for it to have waterproof, but that's not
Hmm.
how technology works. Uh, yeah, it does look good. It'll be interesting to see if Apple gets involved with a folding phone to compete,
Hmm.
because obviously Samsung's been their biggest competitor for a while, but other companies have come up, and I know you have one of them on your list here, so we'll get to that soon. But yeah, I think this is cool. I absolutely am a fan of a folding smartphone. I've had this
Hmm.
iPhone 11 now for a couple of years, and it's doing great. But the ability to protect itself, I think, is something that's very worthwhile, honestly.
Hmm.
So, yeah, let's move to this next one. Now, I don't even know where to begin with this. Is this the portal to the Matrix? Is that how you go in?
So the reason why this is big is it's essentially the next step up from a graphics card that was released last year. It's the TI. So if anyone know, for anyone who don't know about graphics cards are super big when it comes to gaming, but not just gaming, but also like rendering of certain things when it comes to, like, say, if you were doing a movie or any sort of video production.
Right.
The rendering capabilities that a graphics card does, or is, I should really say, um, are able to do, are very important, and that's the reason why you would have a dedicated one just like this one.
So this is
And so
the
with
Nvidia RTX 3080 Ti.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So the TI usually means that is the top of the line version of this specific card. So the
Okay.
3080 Ti is the top one that you can get. And the reason why it's so big is that the 3080 in general from the last year had such a gigantic leap from the previous 2080
Yeah.
Ti, that when you put a Ti, you make this maxed out essentially version of the 3080, of just the regular 3080. Um, it's such an amazing change and difference.
Sure.
And it even kind of is just under Nvidia's top of the line card. Like, I think it's like a $2,000 card MSRP. I can't
Sure.
Technically, it would be a lot more expensive if you're trying to get it now because of the chip shortages, but essentially it's just right under the performance wise.
Yeah.
And um it's hard to explain, but essentially, if you wanted to run like a video game in 4K, with the highest settings and stuff like that, card would be able to do that really well.
Okay.
Um, and that's probably the easiest way. But it's a very, very big leap in performance. And I think I talked about this last year, but it's essentially um, that finally that next big push into the gaming space when it comes to like pushing our graphics to look better and all that other good stuff. That's the
Sure.
biggest thing for
Yeah.
developers and stuff. So,
Okay. Cool. That is, you laid that out very well, because I know the benefits of a good graphics card. If you're watching the live stream, I probably don't look like I was filmed in 1993 anymore, because I'm using something with a better graphics card in it. Just simple things like that. There's so much well, not graphics, sorry, video card is what I meant to say.
Mhm.
But simple changes like that can make a huge impact. And so I see the benefit of this. So it's cool that it's a big leap forward in something like that, especially
Mhm.
because, game development is so focused on PC gamers a lot of the time now that if you create hardware that would allow for companies to push the boundaries of graphics even more, it makes you wonder as we step toward virtual reality and things like that, what the possibilities are for making stuff look more and more realistic.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's interesting. Okay, next one. I'm shocked. We've had Apple versus Samsung battles for a long time. To
Mhm.
which I quote Denison, Apple is trash. And here we are, 2021, the end of, right? The
Mhm.
apocalypse must be happening tomorrow because Denison is saying number three is an Apple MacBook Pro 16-inch.
Mhm.
Why 16? Why not the 15, bro?
Well, the 15 inch doesn't exist anymore. It's a
Oh,
14, and they have a 14 and a 16. But the reason why this is so influential, and I've said this, but I guess I haven't actually said it on the podcast. So I've actually um, made up with my thoughts on Apple. Right? I actually do enjoy Apple's design. I think they are a good company when it comes to engineering and design and all that good stuff. I think they actually do a really good job, especially a good way to push the industry in certain ways. Um, but I don't really agree with a lot of their marketing tactics. And a good example of that was how the previous Max series. Um, essentially got rid of all of the ports that a
mm,
lot of MacBook Pro users at that point in time used regularly. So they got
mhm,
rid of all the ports and only replaced it with four USB-C um, ports. So you lost ports, and the only ones that you could use were Thunderbolt ports, essentially. So this one is a little bit more of a return to form. They didn't completely bring back all the ports, but you still have your four USB-C ports. But they also brought back MagSafe, which was such a big and helpful thing for a lot of Mac users. They also brought the SD card slot back, which I know a ton of users who use MacBook Pros, especially for video editing, use that religiously without,
yeah,
and they hated when they had to use a dongle to essentially connect their SD card.
yep.
And then they also added an HDMI port to this one. So all of that put together, as well as just a better, um, they're finally adding their newest version of Apple Silicon on there. It's a really big feat for engineering, and I have to commend them for that. And that's the
So,
reason why it's on my list.
so yeah, it seems like they are taking a step backward to move forward. They're not making you use their proprietary technology for everything, right?
Yeah,
You're buying
correct.
an Apple MacBook Pro that is $4,000, but buy our lightning adapter with the different ports in it so you can use different things with it. I see what you mean. And with something as powerful and as popular as the MacBook Pro, to offer your regular upgrades, but then allow it to be used like a normal computer again, that's a huge thing. So
Yeah.
it's good. I like that. Interesting you put it at number three. It's a good
Hmm.
choice. Number two, the Google Pixel 6 Pro. Why is this 3 spots better than the Galaxy Fold 3?
um Now, I would probably say this is probably just more personal bias. I love the Fold series, and to be honest, I would love to have one, but I still don't think it's at a point yet for me to actually jump into it. And I'm an enthusiast, full on. The reason why this is big for me is that Google. I love Android, right? And Google is the perfect they essentially should be, right, the perfect example of how Android should run.
Mhm.
Um, and so the Pixel series has always been something that's been super fascinating for me, but
Sure.
they have never I have never I've felt like they've never perfectly hit the mark. And I feel like the
Gotcha.
Pixel 6 is finally that. I'm not going to say perfect, but it's the closest that they've gotten to that perfect hit when it
Okay.
comes to how to properly design a phone and how to properly um, have the phone work and stuff like that. And so that's the reason why it's so high on my list, especially because, like Apple, um, Sam or not Samsung, but Google has created their own chip to put in their own phones because normally, just a quick deal, most Android phones will use a Snapdragon chip, which is created by Qualcomm.
Okay.
Um, into all different types of phones. And
Yeah.
this is the first time that Google has actually, other than I should say, Apple phones have their own Apple Silicon or their own Apple chip. Well, this is the first time that Google's actually essentially gone down that route of creating their own chip that is designed specifically for their phone so that their phone can be far more optimized for the operating system and all sorts of other stuff.
Gotcha.
Um, and that's why I think it's so cool. It's just
Cool.
got such a huge amount of cool features in there and tons of um, really important stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, they've come a long way with their product, their hardware, especially, and
Mhm.
their actual operating system has gotten really good. I would put them right up there with Samsung and Apple as industry leaders for sure. And
Mm.
if I was going to switch, which I won't because I have too much invested in the infrastructure of
You're
Apple,
locked in,
but
man.
yeah, I'm locked in at this point, but the Google Pixel is a good one for sure. So very cool. What the hell is number one? The
S
GPT-3? Is this my gateway to the Matrix?
No, so this is an AI that we talked about earlier this year. So this is an AI that is incredibly advanced. And this is the reason why I put it on my tech, right? It's not a device, but it's an AI program that is very good at mimicking humans. Um, Especially when it comes to conversation, right?
Wow. Okay.
It's there's been tons of videos out there where people have done like interviews who have been able to have access to the AI, but essentially they've been able to do like interviews on the AI and it's able to answer these questions as though like it was a normal person, right? Like an actual person.
Sure.
And they were actually able to not just do like, simple like, are you an AI or not? Or, you know, quick and easy questions. They were actually pretty complex questions, and the AI could figure out exactly what the context was in each of those scenarios and each of the questions and answer incredibly well and even go into far more detail than just like you know crunch a bunch of numbers and put out an answer or whatever like that. And so that's the reason why I think it's a really big leap forward when it comes to AI and um in that technology in that sphere because it really pushes the bounds. So,
Yeah. Is that not terrifying at the same time?
um,
At what point do we become irrelevant? You know, and
well,
the
the
robots
thing
take over.
is, I think the big thing is that I don't think we'll become irrelevant. So yes, answer your first question. It is kind of terrifying, but I have optimism when it comes to this. I feel like and it really just depends on how far we get into our own way. But I feel like if we can have a society that it sounds crazy, I know this sounds super crazy, but a society that is ran by a really, really advanced AI, and we follow along with it, I think it's a great way to lead humanity into a far brighter future because a lot of the issues and complex problems that we have currently, we can't solve. We may not be able to solve on our own. I feel like AI will, highly advanced AI, will be able to solve those and help us move farther into a better future.
So remind me to not call you when the AI revolution happens, because you'll be Team Robot, and I'll be like Will Smith trying to fight the power. Um, yeah, that I get where you're coming from, but that
Mhm.
sounds crazy. A, no one will ever give up power to let an AI lead. Imagine us electing President Robot.
Well, but that's the thing, though. I think you're looking at it in a bad way, right? Because human, I guess that's the big thing, right? I just see it as like we as humans are flawed when it comes to certain things, and I feel like there are certain things that we probably need to have a far more analytical approach than the approach that we currently do, and I think
Sure,
that's where AI kind of comes into play, or highly advanced AIs or whatever like that. So I don't. I think the robot revolution only happens if we move in the wrong directions.
sure.
If that makes any sense.
It does. Christina says you've been watching Travelers, which explains a lot of your thought processes. So yeah, all I know is that I was watching Westworld, and I'm not even convinced that you're a human anymore. I think you've been murdered and replaced by an AI, and
Oh
now you're
man.
just out there promoting AI. It is crazy, and obviously it's our future. I think there's an absolute benefit to being able to ask, you know, is this is this real or I mean, what I'm trying to say, sorry, I lost my train of thought. There's a
Mhm,
benefit to being able to find out answers to stuff really quickly by asking your AI assistant,
mhm.
and progress that in a bunch of different ways. But um yeah, I just don't trust people that are making it, and that's my thing. So I've said this time and time again, people are flawed. They're also the ones creating AI. So I that's my that's my concern
Well,
there.
well, actually, we're at a point now where actually we're having AI create AI, so that way AI can make better AIs than us.
How does that even happen?
Well, I mean, it's all through training, right? So the big thing about AI is that you have to train them by, you know, getting them prepared for multiple scenarios. And so you run them through those scenarios tons and tons of times. So essentially, if you teach an AI program how to create an AI, you run tons and tons of tests through that. Eventually, that AI will figure out, oh, wait, this is how I do it. And then it's going to
Mm,
find ways to make better versions of the basic AI that it's creating. And then it just kind of goes on, creates better and better and better, and essentially stuff like that.
sure, I get what you're saying. Well, I think
It's
that's
a faster process.
it's hard to imagine, really, is what it
Yeah.
is. But I like I said, it's our future. And so if there are big steps being taken forward, they absolutely should be the thing that's leading our list of top tech, right? So
Hmm.
I'm a fan of the choice. This next part of this presentation is going to be a little less put together than the first. These are my top 5 tech items. And when we were discussing the stipulations of this, we decided these could be things that are, personal to us. Um, because I am not as much of a techie as Denison is. So
Hmm.
I'm going to start with this. This is called Starry AI. And essentially, what you do is, well, first you like wait for this ad to end. But then that's how it's free, though. You put in a bunch of different prompts and you
Hmm.
give it a phrase or something like that that you want to see this AI design.
Hmm.
And it will base it off of X amount of iterations of artwork and create a design. So podcast exclusive, my band No Signal, the new album will be called Steal the Sun, right? So I put Steal the Sun in here, and I put a couple of different things. I want it to be high definition resolution, concept art, digital illustration, right? So I put that on here, and this is what it came up with. Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
It looks wild. Now you can't really see it super well on the live stream, but what that actually is not just a sun, but it's a whole monster with teeth with a sun head on it. And I don't even know what this little guy in the bottom left corner is, but I am going to take inspiration from this and actually have somebody design the actual cover. I feel like if that guy in the bottom left was dressed like a thief with like a knapsack, and then basically where the monster is was just like the actual sun just sitting there on the ground, that would be wild. That would be a very cool thing. So I'm using this for creative purposes to build my own thing off of, and it works extremely fast. There are several others I did here. Some of them are just completely wild. One of them I did was so Children Revolting was one, because I wanted it to be I have a song that I'm going to work on called Arm the Children. It's going to be a single. And so it came up with this. Like, this is just AI doing this. Look at that.
Wow.
That's insane.
That's crazy. That's really cool.
Yeah, I know. So it's just basing it off of, you can base it off artwork or real world images, but regardless, it will compile everything. Here's another Steal the Sun. And this is in the style of Katsushiku Hokusai. Okay, so you can kind of see what I mean when you take a look at this. It's very Japanese.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah. Yep. So I say, while I continue this part, that we just design one, man. What do you want?
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
What should we put in here for the prompt? I'll decide the styles because you can't see the style.
Yeah. Let's see for the prompt. Let's see. How about we just do, catch up?
All right. Let's do two friends catching up, right?
Yeah, that works. Two friends catching up.
Two friends catching up. And let's see, we'll do it. We'll have a little bit of this could get weird. Let's see. I want to make it Unreal Engine, right?
Okay.
Based on that, we'll do. No, I don't want to do any movements necessarily, or made of. The media. No, let's just base it off of different types of things. So Unreal Engine, we'll do a little bit of steampunk. And a little bit of ArtStation and see what it comes up with. But what's crazy is sometimes it's way off the bat, sometimes it's right on. So we're going to create this artwork. I have an ad that will play here. And hopefully by the time we get done with this, we'll be able to share this artwork on the podcast. And if the AI is not sleeping right now. So
yeah, exactly.
So it is very crazy that it works this way. And it's fun to watch and design different artwork on. But the rest of this here, let's come here. All right, come here. All right, so if you're on the live stream right now, I just got a whole bunch of different supplies here. All right, so one thing, these are all personal to John, just to be completely clear. Let's flip it around here. Number 4 on my list is the Logitech Mx Keys. All right. This thing is awesome.
A keyboard.
Yep. It lights up when I touch it. It's very cool. And it looks great, right? So
it looks pretty awesome, yeah.
It's very light, but very sturdy at the same time. It's Bluetooth. And I like the little indents on the keys, right? To type and do all those things. Super nice. So I dig that. Flipping up to number 3. Oh, yeah. The Mini Lab Arturia. I broke my old... Yeah. I broke my old keyboard earlier this year. I wasn't well, it kind of was my fault. But anyway, this actually feels like real keys. it feels like you're actually pressing on a piano, which is very cool. So
That
as you can
is.
see, it has about 24 keys.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Look at that work desk. I know, Aaron. It looks just like my desk when we work together. We'll get into okay. For clarity, let's take a look around my work desk. Aaron, jump in on the live stream. Uh, these are all instructions because I assembled all of this the other night at 1 a.m. and haven't read the instructions on any of it. So we'll get to that. It will look nicer than this. I'm I'm actually planning tonight just to organize all this stuff. But anyway, this feels like real keys. It has all
Mm-hmm.
the functionality of MIDI so you can adjust different parameters of sound. You can tap in a beat right there and shift the pitch and do a whole bunch of different things. It's very light, but very firm at the same time. And even has some wood grain on the side. Yep.
Okay.
But let's
Classy.
yeah. So that's number 3 for me. Number 2
Mm-hmm.
are going to be these dual curved monitors from Samsung. These things are awesome. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
save my eyes a lot of trouble. They're 27 inches. I run it off of this PC over here and then funnel into here. So that's how we're flipping through the slides so easily.
Mm-hmm.
Very clear picture. No audio on these, which is kind of a bummer. But in these boxes over here, I have studio monitors that I will set up. So this is going to be my workstation and my mixing station, which is very cool.
Nice.
And then number 1 for John's top 5 tech items of 2021.
Uh-oh.
Got a pan over here. Those speakers in the background. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, those
Yep.
are dope.
Yeah, you can barely see them from this camera, but they are the Klipsch RP8000Fs, okay? And
Mm-hmm.
as you can see there, they are very huge. I'll try to put this back up where this goes. But they sound phenomenal. I obviously live in an apartment
Mm-hmm.
and don't want to be murdering my neighbors or get murdered by my neighbors. And and so I have to be very careful with how I listen to music because it's a big part of my life, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But these things are phenomenal. You can go at low volume and they sound great. You can go at moderate volume, you can go at high volume. It doesn't matter. They just sound phenomenal. I
Mm-hmm.
had this stereo system that my dad actually let me use when I was a kid. And it was an all analog stereo system. There may have been tube in there. I can't remember. And there was nothing like it. It was so warm and everything just sounded. I don't know how. When audiophiles describe stuff, it's very tactile and texture based, and it only makes sense to people describing it. But
Mm-hmm.
the point is, these speakers replicate that, and it's phenomenal how they do it. And so it's been a huge joy to me. I've funneled everything through there. My record player, CD player, PlayStation, television, it all goes through those speakers and it all sounds phenomenal. So I've really enjoyed that. And obviously a quick little synopsis here, but that is, oh wow, we're already done with the AI artwork, by the way. So this is perfect.
Hey, that's awesome.
Okay, but those are my top 5. Let's take a look at what the AI came up with here. I don't even know what's happening.
Interesting.
This is because I put steampunk. It really,
Yeah, I can see the steampunk influences. I feel like the steampunk kind of took over.
is this guy, is there a guy like running the machine?
I don't know. It was hard to tell.
I don't even see 2 friends. Like it's in the middle of a street crashing into something. This has really gone off the rails. Here's one more look at for the live stream. I don't even know what's happening here. It looks like a top hat with a steam engine on it.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere we're in there, man. We're in there recording the podcast somewhere. So, oh yeah, that's got to be our NFT. Oh my god, that's a great idea, dude. We need to start an NFT, tie it to a crypto, and this will be our logo. Christina says that's got to be our NFT. That's a great idea. Yeah, heck yeah, it could be steampunk would be the NFT. I love it. We're gonna make all kinds of money.
No, we don't
This
need to do NFT.
now at the end of 2022, our year in review, that's what we're going to be talking about, man. So,
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, those are a quick couple things. I do love the Starry AI. I think it's fascinating. That's been my dabbling in the world of AI.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've really enjoyed it. Now, obviously, for copyright purposes, we're not going to be able to sample a lot of these, right?
Yeah.
But we're going to move over to our top 5 music of 2021. Let's go with Denison first.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look at what you got, man.
Oh man, look at
I
that!
know.
Look at those.
I know.
Looks pretty dope.
Look at the Sky by Porter Robinson. Who
Mm-hmm.
who are we talking about here?
So he is oh, he's a producer. He's a EDM producer. And this is one of the songs off of his latest album, and it's pretty cool. It's actually been very moving for me. It's really, really um kind of like a return to form for him. So I've been following him for quite a while. And he's changed his sound up quite a bit. Um, and for about a year or two, he changed his name to, or his, producer name or whatever like that, to Virtual Self, and kind of changed up his sound and stuff like that. I wasn't a super big fan, but then he just came back with this album, and changed his name back to his, Porter Robinson, and this was one of the songs on his latest album that really, really spoke to me, and it's kind of been something that I've been like playing on and on and on, and it's
Yeah.
it's just a good song.
Yeah,
It's
is it still
hard to describe.
is it house music? Because I know you've been in the house for a while.
Um, Technically, I guess it would be house. It would be considered house.
Okay.
Um, the genres, there's like a million of them when it comes to like
Sure.
the EDM and EDM scene. So yeah.
Right, right, right. Okay.
Hmm.
So that's cool. I'm a fan of that. Next one is Move On by Grant. That's number 4 for your top 5 songs of
Hmm.
2021. Who are we talking about?
So this is another producer. His and he does house music as well. I'm pretty sure it's house. I would probably say it's closer to drum and bass.
Okay.
Um,
I like some D&B.
but yeah, it's really good. It's a cool song. Um, it's kind of one of the cool things about it is that and this one thing that I really like about this producer or this artist is that he uses a lot of like um, broadcast type sounds. Like, if you're turning on like old style, like turning on your radio and you hear like blah, 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 and you're kind of like flipping through the channels and stuff like that, or the different stations. He uses a lot of those in his songs. And in this one specifically, he used like a lot of that. Um, and it's just a really moving song for me. It
Yeah.
gets me hyped, but at the same time, it's just really cool. So I really enjoy it. It's hard to describe, but yeah, the song's kind of more about like, um, it's kind of about like moving on, but a lot of it is just um, like moving yourself into a place that is better for you, essentially.
Okay. Cool.
And
Okay.
I love it. It's dope.
I love stuff that has a positive vibe to it, even in ways that you wouldn't expect with music like that necessarily. So that's
Hmm.
cool. Okay, so the next one, big surprise on the list, man.
Hmm.
Big surprise. Justin Bieber, Peaches by Justin
Hmm.
Bieber. What's got the Biebs on your list, man? The old Biebs.
Well, technically, this one also features like a couple of other artists and stuff like that, and it's a good song. Um, to be honest, man, I mean, he surprised me, man. I was listening to this song and I was like, well, I mean, I will say Justin Bieber's actually surprised me in the past couple of years. for some of the songs that he's had, and I've kind of enjoyed them. And this is kind of just the latest one on the list that came out this year. I like this one because it's just is really chill and just fun to listen to, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just that's probably like the easiest way for me to say it. It's just
No, that's a
chill,
great way to
fun
put it.
song that's just very enjoyable.
That's the way he's gone lately. That's the direction he's gone, is that kind of sound. And honestly, I could not stand Justin Bieber for most of my life, but the past 2,
Same
3
here.
years, he's cleaned up his image a little bit, but more importantly, because quite honestly, we don't know him and we'll never know him. But what we
Mhm.
do know is his music, and his music's gotten pretty good, especially as far as pop music goes.
Oh yeah.
There was what was that song that came out last year? You Are the Only One I'll Ever Love. I forget what it was called, but it was exactly
Mm.
like a Toto song from the 80s. The same chord progression, rhythm,
Mhm.
everything. The melody was the same. I'm like, man. So the thing about Bieber is he doesn't write all of his own stuff,
Yeah.
if any of it. And so a lot of times, these guys come in, they intentionally or accidentally copy other songs because they know it worked. So it's a business side of things, but he really, at the end of the day, he's still assembling that team around him. So
Mhm.
I have to give it to him on that. Number two and number one, I'm gonna link in the same one, man. Number
Yeah.
two, you put Leave the Door Open. Number one is Smoking Out the Window by Silk
Mhm.
Sonic, man. Put together by what's that guy's name? Oh no, I'm blanking on his name right now. Bootsy Collins, Anderson Paak, and
Mhm.
Bruno Mars in a group together. Bruno never misses. These are two great number ones. Like, no, you could put both of these at number one, to be honest. You have an awesome, phenomenal topping. What made you choose these two songs?
Oh man. It's funny, right? It's weird. Like when I first heard both of these songs, they didn't like grab me, but like after like listening to them, like actually listening to them,
Yeah,
it they got me, man. They got me. And so I think it's just I enjoy Bruno Mars's music. I really do. I think it's really cool. But I think a lot of it is that it kind of brings me back to more of like the older R&B sounds
yeah.
that I kind of miss. And Andrew Park does an amazing job. To be completely honest, I think he's probably one of the best artists out there that I feel like doesn't get a lot of credit.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's great.
And so I feel like combining him with Bruno Mars is just it makes everything work really well. And so that's what kind of moved me with both of these songs. And they're so like I said, I don't know. It's just I think half of it is just nostalgia, right? Because it
Yeah,
feels very just like stuff that I used to listen to
yeah.
with my parents, and it just brings me back to those times, and it brings back very fond memories. So I love it.
No, I feel that. They definitely went for that for a reason. Yeah, I mean that's why Bootsy Collins was the one that put them together, because he is that old style R&B.
Mhm.
But yeah, the sound is amazing. What really I think separates it, first of all, I was like you, I wasn't really grabbed by it. Yeah, Christina digging it. I wasn't really grabbed by it off the bat for me, but the the chorus melody gets stuck in your head. It doesn't go anywhere. And so they made these really hooky choruses, but the rest of the song is so complex. There's so many chord changes. There's so many different chords in all the songs. They put actual thought into these songs, whereas a lot of times the top 10 on Spotify are these TikTok trending songs, and
Mhm.
they're literally the same four chords or three chords in the same order the entire song, right? But equally as popular, or these Silk Sonic songs, and there's a lot of effort that goes into it. So I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Bruno Mars never misses. And quite honestly, Bruno Mars is at the point like what Ed Sheeran did. Okay. I like Ed Sheeran, but his new stuff is just like everybody else's stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it's changed quite a bit. I
Yeah.
have really liked Ed Sheeran's, like, older stuff. It
Mhm.
was so different.
Yeah. But to me, I would say it's not now. It's not super different. Bruno Mars could do that. He could do that. He is that level of talent with his voice and just come out and send it in. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
no, he tries to push the boundaries because he loves music, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So I'm a big fan of these number 1 and 2. Not being familiar with the other three, but let's take a look at John's top 5. Okay, so I could have put Drake on here. So
Mhm.
as much of a rock guy as I am, Drake somehow ended up being my number 1 artist in both Apple Music and Spotify. Um, and if I were to put anything from the new album on here, I'd put I Miss You Too and maybe uh, Race My Mind because he legit sings on that just like old Drake and goes off
Mhm.
is that's a great track. But I kept finding myself looking at other stuff. All of my favorite artists, because perhaps more so in rock than any other genre, you have to be able to tour with the music that you put out, right? So
Mhm.
last year, and I say any more than any other pop culture genre, last year almost no bands put anything out. You know, it
Yeah.
was dead because they weren't going to be able to tour, weren't going to be able to do arena tours, any of that. There are bands that haven't put an album out for 4 or 5 or coming up on 5 years, and they were planning to last year and maybe this year, but then the pandemic happened. So,
Mhm.
with that said, this year, all these great bands, all these great rock bands started putting music out. So, number 5, I have Peach by Chevelle. You may remember an episode from earlier this year we did on this album or inspired by this album. It was called Neurodius, which somehow fans figured out stood for nothing is real and this is a simulation, right? So we talked about
Mhm.
simulation theory. But this song, it's kind of a concept album, but this song is so good. I actually have a cover of it, a guitar cover of it on the No Signal YouTube page. It is just it's pretty simple, but it's aggressive. I really like the tone and I like the moodiness of it. And there's a certain layer of it that I connected to at the time of being selective of who you trust, you know, with the most
Mhm.
important things about you. Um, so that's my number 5. Number 4, and it's hard to talk about these for both of us without being able to show any samples of them, but
I know.
uh, such as copyright law. Number 4 is Tremonti with the song Not Afraid to Lose. So Mark Tremonti is the guitarist for Alter Bridge, right? And he also has a solo band that is simply phenomenal. And Not Afraid to Lose, I there are probably 3 different songs I could put on here from that album. But this one is just classic my kind of vibe that I relate to. You know, it's kind of mid-tempo, ballady a little bit. Uh but it's got a great message. And, you know, it's just the song is about what the title implies. You know, it's about being not
Mhm.
afraid to lose and just living life to the fullest because of that. You know, you've been
Mhm.
through so many downs enough times, and you pick yourself back up. Who cares if you have another one? You know, you'll just pick yourself back up again. So I really love that message of that song. And I mean, it's Tremai, so it's great guitar work, great instrumental work, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Number 3 is Epiphany, which is one that you and I actually listened to the last time you came up to Kansas. This is Wolfgang Van Halen's solo album, and I believe he got a Grammy nomination for either a song on the album or the album itself.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, overall, that album, I saw Wolfgang live a couple months ago, and I enjoyed it, but there was nothing about it that I thought, wow, this is new territory. This is uncharted territory for rock music. I didn't feel that. I don't feel that all through the album, but it is very well done, and especially considering he did all the instruments himself and
Mhm.
vocals. Obviously, he doesn't do it that way live, but recording, that's how it was done over the course of 5 years or so. In between helping care for his dad, Eddie Van Halen, and then other things too. So, with that said, this song by far has the best chorus of the whole album. It's massive, and it has this really cool build up. Kind of I guess there's a theme here with a lot of these that I chose lyrically, and so to me, the lyrics do matter.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't really relate to that. I think they catch on to the hook of it, things like that. But
Mhm.
man, this is a massive chorus, and it's like wake me when it's all done, because I've never felt more alive. Like things around you are falling apart, but it's making you happy, that
Mhm.
because there were things that were holding you down. Um so I love that song. Number two, Changes Are Coming by Daughtry. So this was a pleasant surprise for me. Chris Daughtry's first solo first um, show post pandemic was
Mhm.
in Wichita, and
That's
I got to
awesome.
see that. Yeah, and a local musician opened for him, which was really cool too. I know the guy, Dusty Grant, and so
Mhm.
anyway, Daughtry, their new album, I wasn't expecting much because really their last couple haven't been super great. The new album
Mhm.
is phenomenal. It's very good, and it's some of his best singing, which is crazy to say because he's always been a great singer.
Yeah.
But they went away. They went to pop for the past several years. They went away from pop, which doesn't happen too often anymore, to rock, and actually like heavier than he's ever done. This
Mm.
song, I mean, it's what's bad self-explanatory, and I think it's kind of the positive, uplifting, motivational type of thing that we need right now with all this craziness going on in the world.
Mhm.
So I really gravitated towards it. It's Chris Daughtry, so the chorus is amazing. Um, I really enjoy it. But number one is my guy, Miles Kennedy, lead singer of Alter Bridge, and
Mhm.
also a guitarist on there. Well, he has a solo act now as well. And this is the title track off the album. I really had to think about which one was my favorite off of this album, but overall, the album is uh it's weird because I feel heavily influenced by it, but I don't often have it stuck in my head, which
Mhm.
is weird. But I guess, but as far as performing goes, I'm heavily influenced by this album. Ides of March, the title track, is about 7.5 minutes long, and it goes through all these different transitions, all these different changes. There are two guitar solos in there, and it starts off with this building rock kind of a shuffle thing, and then it just
Mhm.
dies out and goes to a jazz bit, and it's
Oh.
beautiful. It is insanely beautiful, and then later it turns into this whole almost progressive rock sound, but it does so naturally. It sounds completely natural. It is a phenomenal piece of art,
Mhm.
and it's catchy. The chorus is catchy. That is true musicianship to me. That is what people should aspire for with musicianship. I
Mhm.
understand um playing the business and making a living and being successful because of your playing the business, but I could never sell out. I don't want to say sell out, but simplify what I do to the degree that a lot of other artists have.
Mhm.
And there are artists like Miles Kennedy and like Bruno Mars that don't do that, and they push the
Mhm.
artwork or the art form forward, right? And I really appreciate that. Even though both of these albums, all the way through the Bruno Mars, or Silk Sonic, and this Miles Kennedy album, they have a lot of throwback vibes to them.
Yeah.
But in today's day and age where it's so simple, they really are pushing the genre forward by going backwards, which is so fascinating to talk about. Um, so yeah, those are our top five, music of 2021. And I think we had a good discussion on this. Real quick, though, let's wrap up this discussion with what we learned in 2021 that will carry with us into 2022, whether it's
Mm.
learning from mistakes or perhaps just things that we want to push for more and succeed upon, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'll say for me, things that I've learned from 2021 is patience. Um, and when I say patience, I guess a lot of it is patience when it comes to um, me learning and gaining new skills. Because I feel like it's so easy for me to feel as though I should be picking up something a lot faster than um, than I wish I had. Or I should say that there are some times where I feel like I should be picking up things a lot faster than I actually am,
Hmm.
and I get super impatient about that, and I get super frustrated. And I feel like 2021, since I did change jobs, um, taught me that
Hmm.
like learning a new skill or a new job is requires a lot of patience
Sure.
and a lot of understanding of who I am as a person. So I think that's probably one of the big things for me. One of my big takeaways from 2021 is patience, um, as well um, just the importance of family. I think the
Yeah.
importance of family has actually been another thing that's kind of um, pushed itself a little bit more into my brain, if that sounds any like it's not like I didn't think about family before 2021, but it's more along
Yeah.
the lines of I don't know, I guess it's like a recentering of the thoughts of um being with my family and stuff like that a little bit
Yeah.
more. So I think those are some of the key things that I think I will take away from 2021.
What was
Uh,
like a
for
big
me.
win that you got from 2021? Do you have one?
Uh, I would probably say my new job.
Yeah,
Hmm.
sure. Yeah, that's a big one. We've talked many times over the years to why that's important, but it's provided you a lot of great opportunities and the ability to work from home, moving forward, and a good schedule, and the next step in your career, which is awesome. Yeah,
Hmm.
I would say the biggest win for me is actually where I'm sitting in right now, which is my new living situation. And
Hmm.
also, I have this desk that I showed earlier um, in the episode, which is because I'm working from home in a new position. And so I bring that up because I would really say like what I learned is the biggest thing is what you said, perseverance. But honestly, not even that, or patience, right? But
Hmm.
honestly, I don't even want to come at it from that angle. I think the biggest thing I learned is that nothing can stop me, you know?
Hmm.
And I wouldn't even say, just to be completely honest, that I'm fully overtly of that mindset, right?
Hmm.
But deep down I know that nothing can stop me, you know?
Hmm.
Like DJ Khaled said, I'm all the way up. And um But I mean that, and it took going through a lot of stuff, a years long worth of trials to learn that. But once you get to that point, you realize this is why God had me endure these challenges.
Mhm.
And you're in a better place than you ever would have been before. So I know that I can handle anything that is thrown at me. I'm grateful for that because life is a series of challenges and a series of celebrations too. But yeah, I mean, whether it was relationship challenges, let's say, or cancer or looking for a new job. I mean, there was a lot, but I got through it all and I'm
Mhm.
better because of it. So knowing that, having that strength internally, uh, man, that's a powerful, powerful place to be, especially when it's focused in the right area and comes from the right place. And so I'm thankful for that because of that patience and that understanding that to me, like with God, nothing can stop me.
Mhm.
Um, that has led to where I'm at now, and I'm very thankful for it. There's nowhere else I'd rather be, really. So, um, yeah, I feel like those are my two biggest things. And just cherishing people too, that
Mhm.
kind of what you were saying about family, just cherishing people that have always been there for you. Um, because I say that from this, and this is just me being completely honest. Like, I come from a standpoint of I build these relationships, and if they're authentic, if they're real, like yours and mine, I hold on to them forever, right? And that's who I am. But
Mhm.
a lot of my job and a lot of being a musician as well involves making new connections all the time. And so I had not been in a position like that before, but here I am making all these new connections. And it really became important for me to discern who's real and who's not,
Mhm.
and not accidentally lose touch with those who have been there the whole time for the sake of those who are new. And that any of that happened to me this year was by accident. But
Yeah.
it did teach me to focus on that more and pay more attention to that. So that's a big thing for me. And I think it's only going to allow us to succeed more in 2022, having that patience for you, um, and keeping the family close, so to speak, to quote Drake, for both of us. And yeah, just trusting, having that built-in confidence that nothing can stop you, right?
Mhm.
Um, there's a lot to be gained from that. And so I'm grateful to be coming at it from a place of strength. And eh, yeah, 2022 is looking good, man. I mean, we got this
Yeah.
set up. I still have some unpacking to do, but once I do, man, oh man, the floodgates are open. There's gonna be so much cool stuff to come our way, and we're excited to share it with all of you. So thank you for that. I also wanted to touch on Darian. I did say I would get back to his comment from earlier.
Mhm.
He said 2021 taught him to never say never. He never thought he'd be unemployed for every year, but he learned this year. And he never thought he'd get tattoos, but he has a full sleeve that'll be completed very soon. Never thought he'd track down a person he took part in bullying in the past and apologized to them, and he never thought he'd go to therapy. Just a lot of things, and that's the thing. Yeah, you never you never thought he'd become a dog person. um, but you know what, man, and you're taking steps there to better your own life, which I think is fantastic. But you know, above that, yeah, never say never. Leave your heart and your mind open to any possibility because you never know where it'll take you. You never know where just those
Mhm.
small steps will put you. So yeah, it's another example of that is when I was working at the news station still, they moved me to the worst possible shift for my personal life and my music career.
Mhm.
And what that did was allow me to have more time to apply for jobs and then interview for them without having any conflict with my current job.
Mhm.
And because of that, I'm here. I'm literally like, I wouldn't even be here in this space if that hadn't happened. So
Yeah.
uh, just keep the mind open to it and persevere,
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, a lot of good stuff. We touched on a lot. So thank you guys for staying with us. If you've made it to the end of this episode, whether on our live stream or on the audio version, regardless where you're at, please subscribe or give us a like, leave us a rating and review. Those are the simplest ways to help grow and support the channel. If you want to do more, check out our website, nosignalrocks.com. There's a drop down menu for the podcast. All of this is linked in the description of this episode, but over on that page, you will find our merch, our videos, and all of our episodes in one place. So please check all of that out if you want to support the show even more. And yeah, man, do you have any other things you want to leave people with before the new year?
No, I think the only thing that I want to leave people with is, I hope everyone has a wonderful New Year's, and I also pray that we're all able to bring in the new year the right way, right, and be in that right mindset. Kind of use this new year as like a good reset.
Yep.
So yeah,
Definitely. And stay safe out there too. Stay safe out
mm-hmm.
there as you
Please
celebrate.
do.
And we look forward to seeing you in the new year. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. The very first episode of the new year will be an in-person catch-up, so we're excited for that energy. And the episode after that will feature one of our favorite guests on the podcast. So you'll want to stick around for that. Also get you some merch. I almost forgot to mention. Here we are on the live stream. Let's go ahead and get into it, merch. You can get that and so much more over on our website. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for watching. And we'll catch up with you next year.